I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio. In the town of Geraldine, Alabama, we're your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, several sources. You can find us on channel 182, and that's on Charter Communications, and worldwide on Abundance TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. We sure do appreciate that. You know, Rob Patz is the owner of Abundant TV, and he's so excited. So he made the announcement last week on this show that he's about to take on another avenue, which is going to give us 1 million plus viewers. So we're really excited about that. I'm going to tell you what, he's beyond excited. I bet he hasn't slept in a week.
Oh, that's good.
So that's pretty cool. We appreciate that, absolutely. Appreciate Rob for letting us be a part of Abundant TV. Definitely appreciate that. I have a dear friend with me right now, and his name is Phillip Gilliland. He's with the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches, where we go to church.
Yes, amen. It was good. The fifth Sunday was good.
Wasn't it, though?
Neat. It was a large crowd, great food, great fellowship. It was really nice, really nice.
It really was. I wanted to say this. You know, a lot of folks say, well, I don't go to church because the benches are not comfortable. I don't go because it's too hot or it's too cold. But we're actually having church in a barn. I mean, you can't get much more.
Oh, I've been there. That's not the first barn I've had church in either.
And it's not, I mean, now, I'm probably the only person that got cold nature, so I'm probably the only person in the whole congregation that feels good. So
it wasn't that bad to me. It was fine. I thought it was nice. It seemed nice to me that I wasn't uncomfortable.
No, I mean, I wasn't, and I never am. And so, but anyway, it's so exciting. And, you know, we were supposed to have rain that day.
Right.
And so it kept circling around. I mean, you could see like it was
I think that's why it cooled off. It was close enough to cool us off, but not. We didn't get wet. I mean, it sprinkled on us a little bit, but we didn't get wet. I mean, it was good.
Well, we'll tell you what, we were all going, you know, we probably better find some kind of cover or whatever. But Judy, who's the pastor's wife, would not hear of it. She said, no, it's not going to rain. I've already prayed to God about this. It's not going to rain. It didn't.
Yeah.
And so she was looking at us like, you have little faith.
Yeah. Well, I remember the very first night. I was there the very first night. And in the same place, and it did rain, but it rained beforehand. And when Don got up, and we didn't have it, we had the church was right reversed. What was the back was the front, and what was now the front was the back. And when he started to speak, there was the most beautiful rainbow in the background. And several people took pictures of it, and I said, well, the Lord just put His stamp of approval on it. So, and it's been a great church. I mean, I've never had one to start quite like Lookout Mountain, but it'd take off like it did. Of course, y'all are almost ready to be in a new building. So, how exciting is that? We got to move in a new one at the Trading Post on Memorial Day weekend, and we're probably, I think last Sunday we probably had 70% of it full, and so that was nice. We had a lot of new people there, and but it'll be the same way at Lookout Mountain. When you get in the new building, you're going to have other people come. So, but it's good to get to do what I get to do. This morning I talked to a pastor in Tennessee, and I talked to one in South Alabama, and we got these new churches starting in other places, and and I have run my legs off, and I'm not complaining because it's a good time. I was in Texas 2 weeks ago. I'm headed back this week for a short trip, and we got a lot of great things happening, getting ready for the fall gathering, which is October 7th, 8th, and 9th over at Leeton at Cowboy Church of Colbert County, and we've got all that put together, and we're going to have a blast at that. It's going to be so good. Some great times of fellowship and rodeoing, and the Ranch Rodeo Finals will be on that Saturday, the 8th. Just happens to be my birthday that day. So, anyway, it is exciting times around the Cowboy churches right now.
It is. I'm going to tell you something else. So the kids are a huge focus at these churches. And I quit counting at 20 kids. So the kids are up there, and then someone reads a Bible verse to them, and then they sing Happy Trails and all that at the end of the service, which is really cool too. And I always look forward to that. But what I noticed, I started counting the kids. I told Phil, I said, this is just an enormous amount of kids who come to this church. I'm not little bitty kids and teenagers too. So they're walking up there, and this is the start of the service. And then I started talking to somebody and I lost count. But I counted over 20 kids.
Oh, yeah. And that's not unusual for Cowboy churches. In fact, we baptized a young boy at Southern Cross a week ago yesterday. Then on the 28th, I have two to baptize at the Trading Post, and I see Don and other pastors, they're baptizing them too. I mean, there's just a tremendous movement in our Cowboy churches right now. And a lot of people have asked me questions, people that go to traditional church, and I don't know what to tell them other than, we just don't have the barriers maybe that some traditional church has. We're come as you are, and we try to do things to make people feel more comfortable, and it seems to be working. That's all I know.
I just really enjoy it. I really do.
Good.
And I've always enjoyed going to church, but there's something really, really special about this one.
Well, and I think it has what most of our Cowboy churches has. It has a deep sense of love that kind of permeates in the air around Cowboy churches in general. We had some people at our church for the first time this past Sunday, and I mean, like several, and they hung around to ask me questions about what is this deep sense of love that we feel. And all I can tell them is, it's just Jesus. It's just Jesus. This is His bride. The church is the bride of Christ. So, it was awesome to hear them ask me that. I love when people ask me that question, because I know what the answer is. It's not because it's a Cowboy church. It's because when you take away the barriers, it gives the Spirit a lot of freedom too. It doesn't just make folks feel free, but it gives the Holy Spirit freedom to work and do things.
Well, there's something about freedom. It's something about when you can go to a church and you just don't feel cramped down.
Yes. And I think that's important. And especially with our young people, we do stuff, events and things. And speaking of which, I know that this coming Saturday, the Young Guns Rodeo, which is not part of the Cowboy Church, but a lot of our kids go to it. That's this Saturday up at Pisgah. And then a week from this Saturday, it'll be at the Trading Post, the For Him Rodeo, which usually attracts like 140 plus kids. And that's a long, hard day, but boy, do we ever have a crowd for it, and it's a great thing. And then, beside the fall gathering being in October on the 7th, 8th, and 9th, we have another 5th Sunday, which will be at Cross Halo Cowboy Church down in Blount County. So we got a lot of things going on, and it's all good stuff, and I love it when our churches get together in groups, because it really tells about who we are, which is, we're not a bunch of separate churches, we're one fellowship.
All the churches root each other on.
Yeah. And I have pastors that either I call or they call me every day. And we try to encourage one another, and sometimes I'll be trying to call somebody to encourage them, and yet I'm the one that ends up encouraged out of it.
That's true. Because of abundant TV, other cowboy churches actually watch you. And, from all over the United States. And so we feel like there's a connection that way as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was in Texas with and met with the new church start team. There's a group of us. We in the organization, we work and function just like the church. We do things by teams. So Danny Bry leads a team called the New Church Start Team, and myself and Jeff Bishop and Miss Connie Sanford, and I met this tremendous guy named Larry Magruder from out in Utah, and Larry's working way out west he spent I think he told me 30-something years in the Mormon church, and he came out of that and found salvation, and boy, to hear his story, it just took me away. And of course, there's new churches in Utah and Idaho and that he's talking to, and we got a lot of good things going on, and with that group, and then we're having a staff meeting in person this week in East Texas. It won't be quite as far. But I told a lot of people, and I asked people to pray for them, because when I was out there, it was over 100 degrees every day, 103, 104, and I saw firsthand what that drought looks like that's in West Texas, and it was pitiful. And I drove through Athens to Corsicana to down below Waco, and they have, I guess, the cow sale in Athens on Friday, and I saw all those trailers backed up, and people were selling off their cattle. But I'm going to tell you the other part of that is, and our churches were instrumental in this several years ago when it happened to Texas, and I can't remember what year that was. It was either maybe 2013 or 14, and we'd gone through it here, a tremendous drought a year after that, but Texas went through it then. And I saw the same thing on I-20, all those trailers with hay going to Texas, just trailer after trailer of hay headed toward Texas. And then a year later, we went through a horrible drought here, and they sent hay, and some of our churches actually coordinated some of that, getting hay to people. And one of the guys that was part of our church owned a truck and a flatbed trailer, and he hauled a load out there for free. And when we sent hay out there, we never charged them anything for it. And we just had people said, we want to donate that, and we could get the truck and donated, so we would make that happen. So when our churches, when we talk about churches being part of the fellowship, it's not just the churches in Alabama. It's cowboy churches wherever we have cowboy churches, and Texas is obviously the state with the most of the AFCC churches. But during those kind of times, when I think the Lord gives us an opportunity to prove who we are, and that was such a blessing, and to see hay going back to Texas across I-20 week before last, that was a blessing, and I'm sure they were probably selling it, but still, I mean,
what a relief that is.
Yeah, some of the people that told me that hay was going for $120 a roll. I saw cornfields that burn up. I mean, just a cornfield dried up before it ever matured. They cut those fields and rolled them up like hay, and I mean, that's how bad it was. But they're getting a little rain. They got some rain right after I was out there, and the long-range forecast is for them to get some this week, which I hope and pray they do as well.
I do too. And then there's rain in Kentucky, so I know the cowboy churches are going out there as well and collecting. Our church is collecting supplies for kids.
Yeah. I know Curtis is planning a trip with the chuck wagon and I don't remember the week offhand, but he's got 2 or 3 churches that are helping sponsor that, and they'll be going to Eastern Kentucky, and sadly, that is some of the poorest part of Kentucky, because that's where the coal mines were years ago, that people lost all of their jobs when they shut down all the coal mines, and it's sad. One of my traditional church pastor friends went up there and pastored for a while, and he told me it was the most heartbreaking thing he'd ever witnessed, because people are, they've turned to other things because of the poverty. Meth is a horrible issue in that area, and it's just sad. So, Curtis does what he does, and he's put together a couple of chuck wagons, and they're going to go up there where the flooding was so bad and try to feed folks for a few weeks. And he doesn't have a limit on it, but it'll be a good thing. It'll be a good thing.
It will be. It will be. But I think that area also is pretty close to where Loretta Lynn.
I think that's right. I think that's right.
One of my favorite movies is Coal Miner's Daughter.
Oh yeah, and I was trying to remember that county, and
Butcher Holler.
Yeah,
but I don't know the county.
Yeah, and I want to say Hazard County, but that may be from the Dukes of Hazzard. I don't remember. I can't remember if that's right.
I can't. Well, we don't live there. I mean, no, we remember Cobb County.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just loving. Is what's happening.
Oh yeah, and that's what I think our churches are about. That's what Christ told the New Testament church to be about. And so I think we may not have it down perfect, but we're going in the right direction.
I think so. Well, it's close enough to perfect for me. I want to tell you what, it just really, really feels good. It really does. I wanted to talk to you for a few minutes about weddings. Because some of the weddings have already happened this summer. However, weddings happen all year round. The wedding's just a little different at Cowboy Church, and people are loving it.
Oh, yeah. Some of them I've done at all kinds of venues, and, they're a little simpler. They're not quite as, formal maybe. Some of them, I mean, it's not like the brides don't dress up. It's not like the groomsmen don't look nice. It's not that. But I can tell you, if some little kid yells out, nobody thinks anything about it. And it's the same way with church, we realize that we're just a people, imperfect group of people meeting together and trying to do better to honor and glorify the Lord.
But I'll have to tell you, when Phil and I got married years ago, I would have worn cowboy boots. I would have. It wasn't the thing to do then. I remember telling Mother, I'd like to wear cowboy boots. And Mother said, no, you wear your dress shoes. That was back in the day, And, but it's so genuine. It's just so, I just love it.
I couldn't tell you how many brides that I have did the vows for, and underneath that wedding dress they had on a pair of Western boots.
Cowboy boots. And some of them have a little lace around them. I don't know. Right. I guess you use the hot glue. I don't know what they're doing. But anyway, I just think it's cute. And then sometimes the bride comes in riding on a horse.
I've done that, and I've had them more than once to, they would have them a brand made, and they would together go pull it out of the fire and have a piece of wood that they branded.
That's cool.
And instead of a candlelight ceremony, they would have a brand ceremony. And I love it. I mean, I like that. Yeah. But I've done quite a few of them just outdoors, and they're beautiful. I mean, I love the outdoor ones. One of my favorite ones was Brandon and Molly Lewis, and a guy that kind of had the lead part of that wedding. He's in heaven now, but he was such a good man. But Brandon and Molly, Brandon, he loves farming, row cropping, and they had a field that had partially been harvested, and they put a trellis up, and we did that with the field, and it was at sunset, and it was a beautiful wedding. It was a beautiful wedding.
Yeah, yeah. You're talking about the church we go to, Cowboy Church, and about how the congregation was facing the other way. I can see why it needs to be the way it is now.
Oh yeah, it didn't take long.
Because
for
I'd
me
be
to-
staring. I'd be staring out at that beautiful land out there. And the first time we came, I told Phil, I said, I'm going to have a hard time staying focused because look at that, it's beautiful. I mean, it's just pasture land all over the place. And the
Oh, it's a
horses.
beautiful place. It is.
But I didn't have a hard time feeling with the focus. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just, so many things were rather happening in the church.
And Don's a good preacher. He's a good preacher, and he's very genuine. And I think that's the thing about cowboy churches. Most of our people are very genuine. They're very real. You don't get much somebody trying to be something they're not. And I don't mean anything ugly by that. I'm just saying a lot of our folks have dirty fingernails, and they can come like that, and nobody thinks a thing about it.
Well, I mean, we live on a farm, and so when it has been raining, the bottoms of my shoes are going to get dirty. They just
Oh, yeah.
are. So I told Phil, I said, it's not going to matter because, we
That's
have
right.
straw
That's
on
right.
the ground. So I got soaked up. I mean, it was raining so much one Sunday, that my feet actually went down into the ground with cowboy boots on.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, I messed up the car.
Well, it'll vacuum out.
Yeah, Bobby Ledbetter's okay with that.
Yeah.
He is. I want to tell you what, he's a huge cheerleader for Cowboy Church.
He's and I talked to him the other day for the first time. I hadn't talked to Bobby since we bought the car from my wife's car from him, and I talked to him. I called him and talked to him the other day for a few minutes, and he's just the same old Bobby. And it doesn't matter whether you're buying a car from him or you call him to talk about something you need or ask. He's the same Bobby every day. He's the same guy every day.
And I want to say, he always wants to support. I mean, he always does. So I was telling him about, our radio station's a little different than everybody else's.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have promoters who tell us what to play. And our listeners are actually the boss of us. They tell us what to play. So we have an app. You can actually go to the website if you'd like to do that too. And you can request the song anytime you want to. Now, you can only do 2 an hour. And so we have the most requested songs. And so Bobby said, I want to be a part of that. He said, so you mean the listeners are the ones who tell you what to play? And I got so tickled, one of our listeners, Phillip, was so funny. She called and said, well, I'd like to request one, but I don't want to be any trouble to you and know you're busy enough. And I said, no, actually, you're helping us. Because when you go online or you go to your app and request one, that's one less thing we got to do.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
That's right.
pretty cool. So he wanted to be a part of that. We appreciate Bobby.
Oh yeah.
Twin City used car sales.
Oh yeah. Got a new place in Gadsden, and
I was impressed. I went out there and folks are, you got to be friendly to work with them. I'll tell you what. The guys came out there, they know who we were. And so they came out there to help us. So it was kind of one of those little surprise calls. They didn't know I was going to come out and do a video.
Yeah, I was talking to another friend of mine that knows Bobby, and I said something about him, and this was Saturday. He said, "Man, I've known him." He said he's probably the most honest and the guy with the most integrity to be in that business he's in of any of them. And I said, well, that's why I bought my wife's car from him, because I knew he would be a fair and honest man.
Well, a lot of radio stations want every car dealer in the world on their station. And I don't want anybody else. I mean, I know this, because I got integrity. I've got to, prove that as well myself.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody in that's just not going to be honest.
Oh, I would be the same
And we
way.
got enough business.
Oh yeah,
I can be
yeah,
choosy.
yeah. That's good. That's a luxury.
Oh, yeah, so that's pretty cool. Absolutely. We were talking about Cowboy Church and some of the listeners who are from other Cowboy churches. And so one lady I meant to send that to you so you could see the link, and she said, I didn't know you had that many Cowboy churches in Alabama.
Yeah.
And I forgot where she was from. She was somewhere out west.
Well, there's 22 that's affiliated with the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches just in Alabama. And there's a couple of new ones starting, and there's some. It's just a growing thing right now. It's we're in a season of church planting again. not because we decided it, but because the Lord orchestrates that. So we're back busy doing that again, and I love that. That is the most fun thing to do. And you've been a part to see Lookout Mountain, how they started. And I mean, here we are a year and 2 months later, and they're building a new building, and they don't always go that way. But that one is such a blessing. I guess there was such a need for it in that Sand Rock area that it just took off, and my goodness, it's great. And some of them do that, and then some of them kind of grow at a slower pace, and they're all unique. They're very unique, and
so all of us, everybody in the congregation, has been out there with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
And so we've been putting Bible verses out there at the
we
new
did
church.
that at our building.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
All our kids, mostly our kids, but our kids wrote all over the studs on that building. Bible verses and poems with spiritual nature to it, and they even wrote some people who they loved and passed away that were Christian influence. Yeah, a lot of good things like that. So it would, and I would go out there till we covered them all up. I went out there and would look and see what all the kids wrote. And then, of course, you were there the night that we signed the big cross. Well, the big cross is hung in the background. It has a light behind it. It's really awesome. And but we got, it was amazing how many people had we'd either baptized or they came to Christ at the trading post, and they signed their names to that. So it was good. It was a good thing. I preached at a dedication of a new church up in Tennessee at Kent Hightower's church, and they did that. That's where I got the ideal. I said, man, and I couldn't believe it. It was awesome. It was a huge part of the dedication service when they did that. So I wanted to do the same thing, and we even left it down another week to make sure that everybody had a chance to write on it before we hung it up.
It's just a good idea. It's almost like a time capsule.
Yeah, it is. It is. And of course, you know, Brother Dwayne, and Brother Dwayne has been a tremendous encouragement to us. And we were working. The guys were working on my office Saturday morning, and Brother Dwayne was out there doing some touch-up painting where the black is on the ceiling, and we always talk about him because he's 89 years old. He just got back from a 3,000-mile trip that he went to Kansas and somewhere else, and he's leaving here in a couple of weeks, going with his daughter Julia to Alaska. And of course, he comes in there, and he's 89 years old, and he's talking about moving into an assisted living. And we always laugh about it because
so he can tell them how to run it.
Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, you're not going to adapt. You're not going to adapt to that very well. But we've laughed and had so much fun. He has been so much fun to us, and such a great encouragement to our church. And I think Brother Wendell is kind of like that in your church. I think he is kind of that same kind of guy. I love Brother Wendell. I love to be around him. I don't get to be around him as much as I'd like to. Of course, he's not near that old, but he's a man with some wisdom.
Yeah.
He's a man with a lot of wisdom.
And that's what we need more of, I'm telling you.
Yes.
Absolutely. Especially nowadays, you know, the cost of everything going up, and people are having gardens that have never in their life had gardens, you know, and you get so much wisdom out of those guys.
Well, it's like this little lady that she's probably about 80, I think, that I buy tomatoes from. I don't have tomatoes, so I buy them from her. And I do that intentionally. But her tomatoes are so good, and I don't know I don't ask her what she plants. I just go buy them from her. And usually whatever she tells me, I give her a few dollars more than what she tells me. Yeah, but it's a blessing to me, because a couple of times then when I started to pick out a basket that might have 5 in it. She said, I don't like the size of them. It's not as big as they need to be. Let me put a couple more in there. You know, and
That's a wise business.
oh, I tell you, she's playing me like that because I never buy any tomatoes from anybody but her now. But she reeled me in and hooked me because but her tomatoes taste great, and I have so enjoyed those this summer, probably as much as any time. And I've done pretty good. I've lost a pound or two, and it's been good
This time
for
of year you will when you got some good food.
yeah. You
You know,
eat,
that you raise yourself.
and I've learned to get by with the keto bread and stuff like that. That it's been good for me. Now I will attest that when I go to Texas and I go to that Miller's barbecue out in Belton where they have the brisket that
Oh, you gotta know what you're doing. You're cooking a brisket.
I was out there, and I'm sure when I'm in that area, I'm sure going to eat that brisket there. So I did.
Phillip, we're gonna have to go into a commercial break. Yeah, I do this every time I'm with you. We're gonna go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Y'all hang in there, okay?
I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I heard the voice from heaven say, don't tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your fear, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You say your prayers, now take a stand, get up on your knees. You told me about that mountain, now tell the mountain about Introduce the problem to the answer, and you will see that problem step aside. There's no place for fear. The God of heaven is near. Step out in faith and face it eye to eye. Don't tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your fear, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You say your prayers, now take a stand, get up on your knees. You told me about that mountain, now tell the mountain about me. Tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your fear, shout my name, proclaim the victory. Don't tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your fear, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You say your prayers, now take a stand, get up on your knees. You told me about that mountain, now to the mountain about me. Don't tell me about that mountain.
Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home. I got the traffic alert up there.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Be careful out there on the roads, okay? There's so much construction going on right now. Transition right back. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home, where we actually do the traffic report and the weather report early in the morning. So, yeah, a lot of weird traffic going on out there.
I watched it some.
All of the roads are being worked on right now.
Yep.
Almost everywhere. So, and going up, as you're going 75 from Geraldine into Rainsville, I know you're going to be going in that area.
I
Oh my goodness, super careful out there because the roads, they've worked on the roads, which is a good thing. We got to have patience now, okay? Don't fuss. But some of the pavements are uneven.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so be really careful when you're driving out in those areas. And all over Alabama, all over the southeast, it's happening all over the country too.
Yep, it is.
At least we can have good roads. May not be able to eat anything, but we're going to have good roads.
Maybe we're going to get where we can afford the fuel to travel again too. It's
Oh my goodness.
I bought some in Texas for what was it, $4.30 something, and I thought, goodness, this is good. I can't take it back with me because it's not hardly that low here yet. But there's some places that are pretty close to that. There's a few little places close.
You got to save any way you can. We have a Walmart Capital One card. And with the Walmart Capital One card, you can save, I think it's 3% on your gas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that adds up, And so we use that. Plus, you get some reimbursements on that as well. So you got to, any way that you possibly can, make it happen. I have Phillip Gilliland with me right now, and he is with the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches.
Yeah.
Always great to have Phillip with me. Good friend.
Yes.
Absolutely. And man, friends, got a lot of new friends now with Cowboy Church.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They just circle around you and just don't they?
They do.
Encourage you all kinds of ways.
They do, and you, our guys here, a lot of our folks in Alabama know people in other states, and it's not just a church or two. It's pretty big. It's a pretty.
Well, there's a little talk show that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to with you guys, absolutely. And there's somebody named Dakota Donna. And I've heard that she dresses up like kind of like a clown sort of.
Yeah.
And so she's going to just Bible verses and just hang out with the kids.
I've heard rumors about that. That's good.
Yeah, so I'm excited to help her out.
Good.
Do my part.
When does that start?
It's going to be the first week in September.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be here before you know
We're
it.
going ahead and gather up some kids, and Judy's going to help with that.
Oh, Miss Judy would be great for that.
Yeah.
She'd be great.
I'll tell you what, Judy is, I just want to say this, I've known a lot of preachers' wives and a lot of awesome preachers' wives.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, she's the last chapter of Proverbs. She
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah. She's a wonderful lady. Super nice lady. And, I mean, she is a pastor's wife. That's what she is. She's a pastor's wife. I'm blessed to have one as well. And I don't know people don't really know how big a part of what we do that they are. People just don't know it.
They don't have a clue.
Speak-
It's a hard life, being a preacher's wife.
Well, I'll tell you the best thing, and this happened at our church this past Sunday. A pastor from the Cowboy Church of Franklin County, Brian Welch, last January had a bad stroke. He was 50 years old, a picture of health. I mean, he didn't smoke, he was lean and fit and worked to stay that way. A deputy sheriff in Franklin County, and just a tremendous guy. And he had this bad stroke. Well, his motor skills came back real quick, but his speech didn't come back. And he's getting there. But his wife came to our church this past Sunday and gave their testimony. And I mean, our church ate it up. If you go to Trading Post Cowboy Church and look at this past Sunday's service, you'll see Jennifer Welch tell that story. And it's an amazing story. And what you won't see is at the end of church, because we turned the camera off. But I asked Brian, there were several people came for prayer. I asked Brian to come and pray for them. And he can get out 2 or 3 sentences, so he would get out those 2 or 3 sentences for each one of these. And then I would finish it. But he is still improving. And the doctors can't even believe it. They said back in March, well, how he is now is about how he's going to be. And he couldn't say a word hardly then. And now,
but there's more than speech, though.
Yeah.
There's more to it than that. And sometimes it's just how somebody just radiates,
Yeah.
and radiates what's inside their heart.
Oh, it was good. It was so good Sunday. I mean, people. We went to the arena Sunday night to rope the hot heels a little bit, and that's all they talked about was Sunday morning. And the people I talked to yesterday, they were still, I mean, talking about Sunday morning. So it's amazing to see what the Lord's doing with them, and He's going to be back in the pulpit at some point in time. So that was a great day. It was a great day in our church, and man, what a great job she did, and she's just a pastor's wife. So
A lot more responsibility for
yeah,
her right now.
oh, it is, and such a credit to the sheriff's department over at Franklin County, because all of the deputies cashed in all their leave time, vacation time to help them financially.
Wow.
And the AFCC has helped them, and a lot of our churches helped them because he was the income. He was the source of income. So it's the Lord's taking care of them, and we just had a great visit. We went out to lunch with them. They had several people from their church that came to support them, and it was awesome. I was so thrilled that I got the chance to get her to do it first, because she called me and asked me what I thought about it. And I said, I think it's a great idea, and I think I know where you should do it first. Do it at our church first. So they did, and it was a home run. I mean, it was good.
You know, I follow your wife on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I love her. And she believes in truth, doesn't she?
Oh, she's straight
I love
forward. She's not going to sugar, and she's that way with me. She's just as real as they come. And if you don't want to know, you better not ask. But she's a teacher at.
That's what friends are, though.
Oh yeah, and she's a teacher up at Cornerstone Christian, and she loves that. She loves.
Oh, I can tell.
Yeah.
Her heart's in that.
Well, she loves kids. You know, she loves kids and young people, and if you don't, there's. I don't understand people that don't. I can't comprehend. I don't have anything in common with people that don't love kids.
And animals.
And animals. My wife loves animals too. Thus the goose and all the critters around our house. But she's very special. Yeah.
You know, it's a good thing we live in the country, because I even talk to the bees.
Oh, I heard. And I get out. The first thing I heard when I got out of the truck was a rooster crowing. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, they're like pets with us. They're like part of the family. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got. I had.
Our rooster gets jealous.
Yeah. Her favorite animal now around our farm, I think, has turned out to be the mule, which she calls my girlfriend, because the mule, she's just such a pet, and we, the way we have our yard now, we got an automatic gate that lets you come down our driveway, so we just turn her out in the yard some. And she's just like a dog. She just follows you around, whatever you're doing.
Something.
Oh, she stole my wife's heart, I think. Now, my wife loves that mule, and I do too. She's funny, and
Animals just know.
Yeah,
They know when there's something hurting you.
yeah,
There's
they
just
do.
something about them. When I had COVID, that wasn't a fun time. But our cat was just his. It was especially loving.
Yeah,
He just
and
make sure he's okay. You know.
well, and I've no firsthand experience at Shepherd's Cove about the cat. You know,
Yeah.
that because my mother passed there, and sure enough, that morning that cat was in her room, and we knew. But there's something that's pretty amazing about all that.
I think so too. And I think God uses animals just
Oh,
like
I
He
do
does
too.
everything
I do
else.
too. I don't think He meant for us to be mean to them or treat them inhumanely or anything like that. I think he meant for us to be above them by the order of creation, but He didn't mean for us to be abusive to them.
my grandmother, when she passed away, she had a dog, and this dog, his name was Dumpy. And you could just about imagine this dog ate all the time, so he could barely, he was like a wee dog. In his stomach, he was so fat that his stomach would actually touch the ground.
Oh, yeah.
He wouldn't eat after she passed, and he would run to the window and look and see if that was her any time a car would pull up.
Yeah.
That dog warned itself.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that. I've heard of that. And animals do grieve things like that. It tickles me, some of the things they know and do, and it just is always funny to me because you're always learning from them. You can learn from animals certain things.
And they play you as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because Buddy, our dog, does that.
Yeah.
You know, he'll act like he's crying so that we'll go out, because when somebody comes over, we keep him in the pen because, you know, he's kind of aggressive when it comes to anybody but Phil and Mother and me. And so he'll act like he's crying, but I'll look out at him and he's just making the motion.
Yeah, yeah. He's faking it.
Fake. He's fake news.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Phillip, we've never talked about how a funeral is with the Cowboy Church. We've always talked about weddings and everything. How different would a funeral be?
Well, you know, a funeral's not too much different other than, you know, we probably don't dress up maybe quite as much unless. But if somebody asks me, I always offer. I say, look, if you want me to wear a suit, tell me and I'll wear a suit. I've never had anybody say, no, I want you to wear a suit. Everybody tells me, just come like you. No, they tell me that. But if they wanted me to, I would. And I've done a lot of funerals in traditional churches. And, you know, we try to be very respectful of a person's memory. And I'm going to tell you, some of them, I've done some really hard ones, and I did one a couple of weeks ago for a lady, and I knew this lady. And, man, did the Lord ever use it to wear me out. I mean, this lady whose name was Sharon, and Sharon had 2 children. She raised them by herself, but her son, when he was 16, got killed in a wreck. And now Sharon had committed her life to taking care of people. She was an unpaid health care worker for people that she knew. That's how I got to know her, because when I would go see them, I would see Sharon. And so when I was getting ready for her funeral and I was telling the Lord, I said, you know, she and I had a lot in common. Although I didn't know her well, she and I had a lot in common. And boy, the Lord let me have it pretty good about that. He said, you don't know anything about what she sacrificed. She said she had 1 son and I took him. You got 4 sons and you still got 4 sons. Boy, I'm telling you, it ate me up. And I think what I learned is don't ever compare your ministry to somebody else's. But I did her funeral, and I was quite honored to do it because I knew how she took care of people. I mean, when she came, if somebody was under hospice care, she came and she stayed. I mean, stayed. And if they needed something, she took care of whatever that need was, didn't matter what it was. And that's how I got to know her. But I've never seen anybody give so much of theirself as her. And her mother, very sweet lady who had buried the grandson, now has buried the daughter. And she didn't have a lot, and she has stage 4 cancer. And that lady, she tried to pay me, and man, that really got to me. I said, and I convinced her to let me just do this for her. But some of those things, you get something so much more out of it. I mean, most people think, well, you just go read a few verses out of the Bible, and I do. But when you try to tell somebody else's story and what they did, and sometimes it'll change you. It'll change you.
Everybody has a story. Don't
They do. Everybody has a story, and Sharon had a tremendous story. And I'm glad I got to tell a little bit of it, although it beat me up pretty good. But I learned something. Don't ever compare what the Lord's given you to do to anybody else. It's not supposed to be done that way. What He gives you to do is unique to you. It doesn't matter who you are.
And again, everybody's got a story, you
Yeah.
know. And sometimes we look at somebody, you know, and I've done this before. You look at somebody and think, well, you know, how did they get in that situation?
Yeah.
Well, you never sat where they sat.
You don't, and you sure don't need to judge them. I think that's probably the worst thing about. Most of us have a tendency to just be a little judgmental, and we sure don't need to do that, because you don't know what it was like to walk in that person's shoes. You don't know what that background height was to live that person's life to get there. So, you know, and I pray about that. Lord, don't let me see something bad in this. Let me see the good, and especially about being kind of positive. The worst thing you can do is have a bad case of negativity and it rub off on people. I mean, you need to have a good case of positivity and try to make that rub off on people. And that's just
Because what if I had the wrong idea about somebody? What if it
Yeah.
was wrong? And then, because you got to be careful about those things, about what you say.
yeah.
Because, you know, I could say, you know, the wrong thing. Maybe I had the story wrong, and it could cause more bad feelings. And,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because people have committed suicide based on
That's how.
untruth.
Yeah, that's what happened to her, and it was all over the grief of that boy that she never got past. She was all so busy and immersing herself in trying to help other people, she never dealt with that grief, and it finally got her. And I can tell you, I would just like, I'll tell you what I tell everybody: committing suicide doesn't send a person to hell. If you think it, go look in Romans chapter 8 and read the last 5 verses of Romans chapter 8, and it'll tell you that people have psychological things and things that go on and things that happen to them, but suicide does not send a person to hell. And I'll believe that from now on, just because of what Paul wrote in Romans chapter 8. And anybody can be mentally sick just the same as they can be physically. And Satan takes advantage of those moments when you might not have a clear mind, and he may come at you in such a way that just overpowers you, and you just feel like you can't. I especially learned this through people that struggle with deep depression and anxiety, and I've never had it, but I really believe anxiety is one of the worst clinical problems you can have, is anxiety, because I've seen the devastation of it, but I've never had it, and I can't really judge it or understand it. But I can tell you, I have seen what it does to people, and it's heartbreaking. And thank goodness we got people that can help. And if you struggle with those things, I plead with you, go get some professional help.
There's good Christian counselors.
Yes. And there's some that don't even, if you don't have money and don't have insurance, they will still take you and help you get through things. And maybe, you know, I about come to believe there's a point in all of our lives, at some point, where we probably are in a place where we need a little help.
Gotta be careful.
That's right.
Absolutely. And that's when you got to have real friends. I mean, the real ones,
Yeah.
not the fair weather ones.
Oh, that's right.
But
That's right. Those people that you may think they're your friends, but they may cause you to do things you wouldn't normally do. And that's not, they may give you advice that if you were really thinking right, you'd know that wasn't the best advice. So be careful.
That's why I always try to, if I hear a rumor, I don't want to hear it. I don't even want to repeat it, because you can kill somebody
Oh, yeah.
lie on them
Yeah.
quicker. I would, as a matter of fact, I'd rather somebody just shoot me than to tell a lie on me. Because that's, I mean, you can't,
Oh,
it'll kill
yeah.
your influence.
Yeah, it will.
Kill you on the inside.
It will.
And then when COVID hit, a lot of depression sunk in to a lot of folks because, we're people. We like to socialize,
Yeah.
go to church and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But I'm seeing a comeback for that.
Oh, I am too, but I remember the statistics of suicide went out the roof. The statistics for veteran suicide is still, and that's something that we pray about in our church regularly, is our veterans and that situation. I know my son worked the suicide hotline for. I have a lady that does 911 in our church, and some of the things that we've learned from hearing the stories they told, it's just incredible. There's a lot of people that are hurting and need words of positivity and encouragement, not somebody telling them what's wrong with them or diagnosing them and telling them something unbiblical about how to fix themselves.
Well, and then, like, if somebody is rude to you, I always like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. There could be something just bad happened in their life, and they're trying to deal with it in their mind, and they're just not paying any attention to the way things come out. So you just have to, don't get your feelings hurt so easy.
Oh, yeah. We kind of are, we've got a progeny in society today of a young generation that everything is a disaster. And it's caused all this kind of drama. And man, life don't have to be this dramatic. It just don't have to be this dramatic.
It doesn't. I feel like we lived in the best generation.
Oh, I loved the time I got to live and grow up. It was unbelievable compared to today. And I use them and they have benefits, but man, if we could go back to no computers and no cell phones and some of this stuff where people interacted more with each other, they were much better times.
I think so too. A little bit under 3 minutes left in this segment. What would you like? It flies. What would you like to tell the folks before we go?
Well, I'd say to everybody, you need to have a relationship with Jesus Christ above everything else that goes on in your life. If you don't know Him as your Lord and Savior, you need to get somebody to help you understand that He died on the cross for your sins above everything else. And take your family to a good Bible-believing church somewhere. It doesn't have to be a Cowboy church, but if you ever go to one, you probably stay. That's right.
That's true. Is there a website, like if someone lives in a particular area and they just wonder if there's a Cowboy church?
If you go to the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches, their website is americanfcc.org. And there is actually a place that says, find a Cowboy church near you. You can put your zip code in, and it'll tell you the nearest Cowboy church. And if you have an interest in starting a Cowboy church and there's not one around you, then my name is listed there under the staff, and my contact information is there. You can reach out to me at Phillip at americanafcc.org.
And there's a training there as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. So, Bible knowledge there.
Yeah.
Phillip, thank you so much for
Oh, my pleasure.
It's always so much fun. And I always look forward to you coming to the studio.
Well, I enjoy it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio, the Center for in Christ Radio. Resource for news and entertainment. You know something? You find us also on television 2 different ways. Locally to North Alabama, channel 182 on Charter Communications. You can also find us worldwide on Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You know, I love to just go to, I've got a little stick,
Yeah.
and it's a Roku stick. And I can watch all the Andy Griffith I want to watch if I want to watch
That's not bad
something.
stuff. That's pretty good.
Absolutely. Well, I can quote Andy Griffith.
Yeah, me too.
It's pitiful. It sure is. Thank you again so much for watching. You're the apple of my eye. I just wanted to mention that to you. And again, thank you so much for watching. It's a pleasure to be with you today. See you in the next segment.
I said, God, you gotta move. mountain. I just don't see it any other